It's the next video. This series continues as I'm talking about independent RPGs for the month of July, per the Professor Dungeon Master video, which if you've seen any of my other videos in this series, you will have already heard me talk about. Now, also, you would have heard me say, hey, like and subscribe. It's free. And check out links below if you feel like supporting me in any way that you are comfortable with. In the meantime, let's talk about today's game, which is A Cool and Lonely Courage, The Women of the SOE, by Alex White. This is a fascinating game. It is not played with dice. You use playing cards. And in it, you recreate stories of fictionalized women who fought for the Allies in World War II, going behind enemy lines and doing various elements of espionage and what have you. I think that I think it's just some really good game design. First off, a very interesting, very different, very unique. But I also think it's, if your group really wants to invest in characters and emotions and real. I think you could, if you're willing and everyone is comfortable with it, you could tell some really deep, sometimes dark, and fascinating sort of character portraits of these women and the adventures and horrors and excitement and dangers that they went through. And I think you could make some really neat sessions with this. In it, the gist is you have been captured. The idea is like, your character has been captured, and you are telling the story of what led to that capture. So, what was it like I believe it does training. Like, what was your training like? How did your first landing in Europe go? Who were your contacts? What you might have enemies. What was some betrayal or what have you that happened? How did you get caught? And then what happens after you get caught? And many of the women unfortunately were murdered and not did not survive. But then you have some women who survived, like the lady on the cover here, who's a fascinating woman. This is, unless I'm totally full of crap, I believe that is an image of Virginia Hall. And if memory serves, this actually hangs in the CIA Museum. I went to the CIA Museum years ago. I have this kind of dusty coaster that I got in the CIA Museum years ago. That's not an easy museum to go to, but it's a fascinating one. There's some really interesting art there. Anyhow, Virginia Hall, really neat character. You should read about her. Very, interesting woman. And so this game, I think, very cool. And I think the potential is there, again, to tell some very interesting, very emotional stories that, with the right group, I think would just be great. So I've only managed to do this. I don't remember if he has actual solo rules in here, but it's not difficult to play this solo, and I have run it for myself a couple of times as a solo game. I have yet to get this to the table with people, but at some point I'd like to do that. But I think, it is best probably with people that you feel a certain trust with. But anyhow, A Cool and Lonely Courage, Alex White, really cool indie game. Check out the usual stuff below. On to the next video. Take care.